Happy Passover, everyone. Chag Sameach. We are delighted to welcome you to this pre-recorded Seder for your use at your own table. This year, Passover is very different. And so we're utilizing all of these technologies that are at our disposal to connect us to one another. So from Temple Sinai, you have this pre-recorded Seder. And then on the second night of Passover, which is Thursday night at 6:30, we hope that you will join all of us live for the Seder that we will lead for you. I'm here with our clergy, of course, with Cantor Elena and Cantor Sergey and Rabbi Alana Schachter. We're also joined by Howard Barrett, our past president and resident humorist, who will lead us in some games during the course of the Seder. We're also joined by Adrienne Rubin, who is our Director of Adult Learning, and Lulu Belforter, who is our Director of Youth Engagement and now has the new title of Director of Zoom, who is going to be managing the Seder for us. The Haggadah that has been prepared for you is a combination of two, actually. The first is that it was prepared by a wonderful online organization called Kveller, which is a terrific resource for all things Jewish. I'd recommend it to you. And interspersed are some supplements that we have prepared and used over the years at Temple Sinai's second night Seder. So it will just magically appear on your screen as we go through the Seder. So you don't need anything except the items of the Seder plate that were on the screen prior to our beginning, and we'll take you through all of those items as well. So get comfortable, make sure you have everything that you need, and now it's time for us to begin. So I'm going to turn it over to our cantors so we can sing this very ancient Talmudic melody. I think it comes from the 2nd century. There's no Seder like our Seder.
There's no Seder like our Seder. There's no Seder I know. Everything about it is wonderful. Nothing that the Torah won't allow. Listen how we read the whole Haggadah. It's all in Hebrew, as we know how. There is no Seder like our Seder. We tell a tale that is so well. Moses took the people out into the heat. They picked up what's up while on their feet. Now see that the story that just couldn't be beat. Let's go on with the show.
Excellent. Just like they did it in the old country. So now we're going to continue, and I hope that you'll join me in this first reading. Open your senses. This is how we will emotionally and tactilely get ourselves ready for the Seder itself. Please join everyone. See the sights of Passover. See the Seder plate at your dinner table. See your family and friends gather together. See your children find the Afikomen. Open your eyes and welcome the season of spring. Hear the sounds of Passover. Hear the singing of your children and parents. Hear the breaking of the matzah. Hear your children asking questions. Listen to our history retold generation to generation. Taste the flowers of Passover. Taste the bitter herbs and sweet haroset. Taste the bread of our ancestors. Taste the tears and joy of our ancestors. Savor the flavors of your traditional Passover dinner. Smell the scents of Passover. Smell the matzah ball soup. Smell the gefilte fish and sweet wine. Smell the new blossoms of spring. Inhale the smells that fill your home tonight. Feel the wonder of Passover. Feel the warmth of glowing candles. Feel the tradition of family. Feel the love of God holding your child's hand. Feel the joy and blessing of your freedom. How lucky we are. How good is our fortune as our Seder begins. And this is true. Even though we're separated from family physically and friends, we are all connected to one another, and I hope that we can all sense that even through this wonderful digital platform. So now we're going to continue, and I hope you'll join me as well on the reading on page 5, How Do Stories Help Us Remember? Every year we celebrate Passover to remember how God led us out of slavery and into freedom. How do we do this remembering? We do it by studying maps, memorizing dates, and taking quizzes? Nope. We do it by telling stories. Stories have a special power. When we hear them, our minds try to relate to them. If you tell me a story about something that happened to you, it will probably make me think about when something similar happened to me, or a time when I felt the same way. Many times I will respond to your story with a story of my own. In this way, stories build on one another. Our people's stories become part of our story, and our stories become a part of their story. This happens when we talk to one another and when we read stories too. Think about Moses, Pharaoh, and everyone else we will hear about tonight. When you hear their stories, do try to connect them to something you have experienced in your own life. Who does Moses remind you of? Who does Pharaoh remind you of? What does it mean to feel free? When we'll all have different answers to those questions. Someone once said, a writer begins a story and a reader finishes it. Every single person who reads a book reads a different book because we can't help but mix our personal stories with the stories we encounter. This is why stories mean so much to us. They don't just give us a chance to learn, they give us a chance to connect. So wonderful. So now we're going to take a look at the Seder plate. As you see, these are all of the items that we will be referring tonight as we tell the ancient story of our people's liberation from slavery. So take a look. Each of these items will become a central part of our story and our Seder tonight. And now it's time to sing another song. So take a look. Back one, Lulu. There we go. These are a few of our Passover things.
Cleaning and cooking and so many dishes. Out with the habits, no pasta, no dishes. Fish that's gefiltered, horseradish that stinks. These are a few of our Passover things. Matzo and Karpas and chopped parvosen. Schenkbones and Kiddush and Yiddish Yubratzis. Tante who kvetches and uncle who sings. These are a few of our Passover things. Motzi and Myra and travel with pharaohs. Famines and locusts and slaves and wheelbarrows. Matzah floating and eggshell that cling. These are a few of our Passover things. When the plagues strike, when the wise bite, when we're feeling sad, we simply remember our Passover things, and then we don't feel so bad.
Wonderful. And now it is time to begin the Seder in earnest with the lighting of the Yom Tov candles. So if you have candles in front of you, this would be the time to light them. And if you don't, no worries. Cantor Elena is going to be lighting hers on all of our behalf. And when she's ready, you can certainly please join together in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom hatov.
Amen, amen, amen. So the word Seder means order. And before we actually go through the components of the Seder, we sing a melody to all of the different components of the Seder. And in the magic of our Reform Seder, we will do all of these sections in about 35 minutes. We are remarkable in that way. So it is traditional to sing these sections together. So please join with our cantors.
Kadesh urkatz, Karpas Yachatz, Maggid rachatza, motzi matzah, maror koreh, shulchan oreh, Zaful Bareh, Halel Nirtzah.
Tov Kiddush. So if you have some wine or grape juice or juice, it's appropriate to take some now. And our cantors will lead us in Kiddush. Lulu, if you want to just turn the page. Perfect.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, boreh peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romamanu mikol ha'lashon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. V'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ava moadim lesimcha, hagim uzmanim lesason. Et yom chag hamatzot hazeh, zman kirotenu, mikrat kodesh zeker letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kiddashta mikol amim. ומועדי קודשך ושמחה וששון נתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל והזמנים. אמן.
L'chaim. This is the first of 4 cups of wine that we will share tonight. And the reason we drink from 4 cups of wine is that in the Torah, in the book of Exodus, when God makes God's promise to our people to free us, God repeats that promise 4 times in 4 different ways. I will save you, I will deliver you, I will redeem you, I will bring you to the land. And so in honor and recognition of each of those 4 promises, we drink 4 cups of wine. Now we're going to continue with what is called urchatz. Now, this is the point in the Seder where we wash our hands. We actually will do this twice, and I will be honest with you and tell you that until this year, this was not a part of the Seder that I did. Washing was not a part of our tradition in my home. But now, of course, washing is a mitzvah, and it is actually a part of the mitzvah of saving lives. We wash now both to spiritually cleanse, which is the purpose of the mitzvah, but also to physically cleanse, because we must do that in order to keep each other safe. So we're going to take now about 40 seconds or so to give everybody a chance to go to your sinks and to wash your hands for 20 seconds each, as we have been told we're required to do, so that we can fulfill both of these mitzvot, to spiritually cleanse and to physically cleanse to keep us safe. So take some time now, everyone, and leave your table and go wash your hands. All right. So now the next part of the Seder is the Karpas. The Karpas is the green, representing the coming of spring, and we dip the Karpas in salt water, which remind us of the tears our ancestors shed in captivity. So it is about the blessing and the challenge, about life's joys and life's curses, and how life is about them both. And we don't dwell on the challenges, we respond to them with hope, the hope that spring will arrive and that we will overcome them. So if you'll take some of your greens, and if you'll now dip them in the salt water, and we say the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who creates the fruit of the earth. And now take a bite. Very good. It's an appropriate year for us to remember that message. And now we move on to the Yachatz. This is where we take a piece of the matzah and we break it in half. And half of the matzah will become the Afikomen, and that is the dessert. This is the piece of matzah that we will eat to conclude the Seder. And so we will protect that to make sure that it is okay, so that we have it at the end. So everyone should break the matzah. And we're going to sanctify the matzah in a moment. But first, we have our first game.
I'm pausing the recording.
I'm ready. Okay. So let me give you the directions to our first game. Each of you are playing amongst yourselves, so that you need to keep score of who gives the correct answer. We're going to show you a photo, a picture, and you have to name the person. The first person to name it in your group gets a point. The one who has the most points wins. Very simple. Are you ready? Director, are you ready?
Yay, we're ready.
Okay, good. Here we go. Who's who?
Oh,
Who
I know
is
that.
who?
That's Bruce Willis.
Yes, and he got
And
it.
Miriam.
So all of you who said Rabbi Michael White wins. 1 point. Next one. Who is this man?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one.
He
That's a
has
good one.
Einstein here.
That's right.
I-
Who knew? Who knew?
Who
He's
knew?
not Albert.
Nope.
How about Ben Gurion?
Let us see. This is Ben Gurion.
Yes.
Right.
Hey.
Next one. And who is this?
But she's lovely.
And yes,
Lovely.
a very smart, lovely person.
That's right.
Important
This
to
is
our team.
Adrienne Rubin. She is in charge of all of our special events that we have at the temple. Go ahead. So this is a tough one,
Mm.
right? No, it's not Sergey.
Well,
Anyone? Go
definitely
ahead.
not.
Compliment.
Yeah, yes, agreed.
Okay, give us the answer. Yitzhak Rabin.
Yes.
And at your table, if there's someone who knows what his position was in Israel, give them an extra point.
Oh, I
And
know.
who's this guy?
That Charlton Heston?
Yes, or it could be. And
Wait, are you sure this one's not Rabbi White?
now, do you notice that he has 2 tablets there? Originally, there were 15 commandments, but he had someone who went up to the top to help him. And the guy gathered the 3 plaques he had, and he dropped one. Hence, 10 commandments. Next
Looks
one.
like Howard Berndt with a beard.
A little longer, right?
That's right, just the longer.
Well, who is that pirate? Whoa.
You know,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. He's the only Jewish pirate.
Important man.
Okay, Moshe Dayan.
Yes.
Next one. This one. And smiling.
Yes.
Picture was taken before she joined. Just kidding. She's very happy here. Although I see on the screen she's not smiling all that much. Rabbi Alana Schachter.
There we
Next
go.
one. Okay,
People in
guy
this-
on the left. Guy in the
I know
middle.
the guy in the middle.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
probably we all got the guy in the middle. That was
Yeah.
President Clinton, is President Clinton. A person on the left
Yitzhak Rabin.
and the person on the right.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Next one. There she is.
Oh.
You know when you sang,
What was that song?
Sweet singer of
Okay.
Israel.
That's right. Go ahead. Cantor educator, Alana. So who are the 2 people?
That's a
Uh-huh.
good one. Sister of Moses
Yeah, sister of Moses.
and
Very
baby
quiet.
Moses. Go ahead.
She does have a name, Rabbi.
brother of Miriam.
Sister of Moses.
Well, I was giving hints.
It's Miriam
Yes, that's identity.
and baby Moses. Click it again. Wasn't that fancy? Didn't you like the way it was? Okay,
That was
next
very
one.
good.
Oh,
Ah,
it's in here.
There she is. She's the one who's playing with
He's our tech.
videos. So that's right.
He's
This
our
is the
tech.
Lulu Belfeder.
ah,
Good man.
yes. Former president of Israel, prime minister of Israel, defense minister of Israel,
And
foreign minister of Israel.
And you didn't know that he was really a tap dancer in his former life.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I read
Nice.
his biography and I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right. I just made it up. The next,
Incredibly impressive. Ah,
there she is. And she's absolutely not on this call.
our fearless leader.
She's
That's
currently
right.
leading another call.
That's right. This is Allison Stan. We call her Allie. And this, anyone know
I
which?
think it's Tutankhamun, if I pronounce it right.
Right.
With my old
Ramses.
English
Or maybe it's
romance.
Ramses.
Oh, Ramses, right.
I just wrote Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll just keep guessing what his name is.
Ramses.
Ah,
And this one,
Pat.
you will see him behind the piano at every service.
that's right. This is Izzy, who, by the way, is a new father.
I say he just
Yes.
became an Abba.
That's right. And I needed to put in the present president,
Prime Minister.
Is correct? Yeah.
Yep.
correct.
Netanyahu.
Yes.
Next one.
Ah,
We all know this guy.
Yeah, Jeff Krugman.
He's
All right.
probably in the building right now.
That's right. Pull up
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
I should have put a mask on him. And the next one, oh, that's it. Last one. Thank you, everyone. Now count up the coins.
wonderful.
Count
I
up
hope
the
you all did well.
and make sure you have presents for them.
I hope you all did well. All right, so now we're back to the Haggadah. Thank you, Howard. We are back to the Haggadah, and we're going to make a harsh emotional transition from games to the bread of affliction on page 18 of the Haggadah, Lulu.
We are getting there.
Okay.
Now I need to screen share, that's all. Sorry about that.
So now we will have to uncover matzah
Yes.
and raise up a piece of matzah while I will sing an old Babylonian melody.
This is really old. This is a real one.
True.
Right.
In Aramaic. Halachmanya yakalu al hatana be'aradi Mitzrayim. Kol dichtin yetei ve'yekur, kol ditzrich yetei ve'yitzar, Ashat haba l'shana Israel, Mashata Avneleshana Haba B'nei Korim.
We all join together. This is the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate in Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in need come and share the Pesach meal. Now we are here. Next year we will be in the land of Israel. This year we are slaves. Next year we will be free. There's so much to unpack in that statement. Of course, we are all living under the cloud of this pandemic. So the line, this year we are slaves, holds some meaning to us. But of course, so does the line, next year we will be free, because we will subdue this virus and we will return to our lives. And of course, this year we are unable to welcome people into our homes to come and eat. So I'm going to encourage all of us to think about the mitzvah of tzedakah and about the organizations in our community that feed the hungry, and to be extra generous this year during this festival. We all can give, and we all should give, and that is the way we can fulfill this mitzvah, let all who are hungry come and eat. So, and now we move on to a reading, I believe, Lulu? Yes. No, now we're going to move on to the 4 questions. So this experience of Seder is an educational experience as well. Elders are obliged to tell the next generation the story, and we are all obliged to learn the story through the questions of the Seder. Why is this night different from all other nights? So please join the cantors as they sing.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו נתחמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה, הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שובו מצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולו מצה, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור. שבכל הלילות איתנו במילים, אפילו במחקר, אפילו במחקר. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתהא בערים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, שתהא בערים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסורים, בין יושבים ובין מסורים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסורים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסורים.
Beautiful. So Lulu, am I the only? There we go. Okay, wonderful. All right, so let's join together in the English of the four questions together. Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we eat leavened products and matzah. Why on this night only matzah? On all other nights, we eat vegetables. Why on this night only bitter herbs? On all other nights, we don't dip our food even once. Why on this night do we dip twice? On all other nights, we eat sitting or reclining. Why on this night do we all recline? Now, Rabbi Schachter.
Michael Strassfeld writes, why is this night different from all other nights? Most of all, because it provokes us to question. We are to question our cherished notions and beliefs to discover if somehow slavery and oppression have crept in. In other words, we call on our children and those with fresh eyes around the table to question things that we may have become accustomed to challenge and disrupt what for us may have become the status quo. This year, we may need less help from our Seder than usual for us to feel disrupted, shaken out of complacency. The current state of our country and our world has provoked us to ask even more questions. Questions about our safety and our health. Questions about when we might resume our regular lives. Questions about how we can use technology to help us stay connected to the ones we love. Our Seder provides us with an opportunity to ask and answer questions together, to connect our past with our present, and to see ourselves again on a journey from oppression to redemption. And so we will begin our Maggid, the telling of our story, with Avadim Hayinu, orienting all of us together, both as slaves to Pharaoh and as a redeemed people.
Avadim Haynu Atata Benekorim Avadim Haynu Atata Benekorim Benekorim Avdim Haynu Atata Benekorim Benekorim
A story tonight about 4 children, and each of them has a different attitude towards the Passover story. One who is wise, one who is wicked, one is innocent, and one does not know how to ask. Please join with me on page 25. The wise child asks her parents, "What is the meaning of the rituals, rules, and laws that the eternal our God has commanded you? I want to understand all the rules surrounding our Seder." Her parents answer, "We are so happy you asked. Wild children want to understand what is going on during the Seder so that they can participate now and one day explain the Seder to their children." One of the important rules is found in the Mishnah, a very old book of Jewish stories and laws. It says, we may not eat any dessert after we eat the Pesach sacrifice. A long time ago, Jews used to honor the holiday by sacrificing an animal. Today, we do it with this Seder and by eating matzah. This law is one of the last we are supposed to learn about the Seder. We are teaching it to you because you are very curious and seem to want to know a lot of the details and reasons behind why we do what we do. The wicked child asks his parents, "What is this service to you?" His parents answer, "That's actually not a nice thing to say, but you might not even realize why. In your question, you asked why Passover matters to you. A better question would be, why does this worship matter to us? By saying to you, you act like you are not a part of the Jewish people. Feeling connected to one another is a very important part of Judaism. The Torah says, for the sake of what Adonai did for me when I went out of Egypt. Notice how it says, for me. When we read that line, we are all supposed to remember that God freed all of us. The innocent child asks her parents, "What is this?" Her parents answer, "We will start with a simple explanation. By the strength of the hand of God brought us out of Egypt from the house of slaves. You don't seem to understand very much about the Seder yet, and that is okay. You are doing the right thing by starting with simple questions. Eventually, when you learn more, you might ask more specific ones." The child who does not know how to ask her parents anything, her parents observe her silence and realize they need to help her start the conversation. Maybe this is because she doesn't understand, or maybe it is because she thinks she already understands everything. But no matter how much you know or think you know, there are always more questions to ask. It's easy to read these questions and think, which child am I? Which one is my sibling, my parents, my relatives? A famous 20th century rabbi named Menachem Mendel Schneerson once wrote that we should all think of ourselves as all 4 children. Each and every one of us has moments when we are wise, wicked, simple, and disconnected. The story of the 4 children reminds us to be aware that we have all of these sides within us. The rebellion began with 2 midwives. The Exodus story begins with midwives. And in a way, it ends with midwives too. Midwives, in case you don't know, are women who deliver babies. There are still midwives today, though they can be women and men, and some of you may have been delivered by one. Usually when we tell the story of Passover, we start with Moses, but actually the rebellion begins with two midwives, Shifra and Puah. These women were instructed by Pharaoh to kill every Israelite boy during childbirth, but they bravely defied Pharaoh and did not do it. Instead of killing the boys, they lied to Pharaoh and said they couldn't get there before the babies were born. This was some pretty cool civil disobedience. They even saved Moses' life, and since Moses would later lead the Israelites out of slavery, we have Shifra and Puah to thank for making our journey to freedom possible. Some people think of the whole Exodus story as a birth story. The Israelites went through a narrow place like a birth canal. The waters of the Red Sea parted like the waters that leave the womb before birth. Eventually, they reached dry ground. Miriam, a prophet, and Moses' sister took a tambourine in her hand, and she and the other women began to dance and sing. They were like midwives. The nation of Israel was being born, and there were the women helping to bring this new people into a new world. As we continue on page 29, we sing the words of V'hisha Amda, underscoring the promise that God made not only to our ancestors, Avotenu, but also Lanu, to us. We sing these words together as a renewal of our covenant between us and the divine, that even when there are dangers around us, even when there are those who seek our destruction, we continue to feel God's presence and be inspired by hope for a better world to come.
So now we raise our glasses traditionally while not taking a sip, and we're singing the Hishamda. V'hishamda, v'hishamda, lavotenu velanu. V'hishamda, v'hishamda, lavotenu velanu. Shelo echad bilvad, amad aleinu lekaloteinu. שלא אחד בלבד, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. And we put our glasses down without taking a sip.
So we continue now with the plagues, and we recall them, because of the horror of them. We recall them so that we remember that in order for us to be freed, people had to suffer, that freedom came at a horrific, immeasurable cost. And so the way we remember the plagues is by reciting them, and then as we do, taking some of the wine out of our cups, because wine is joy. We take wine out of our cups in order to diminish our joy because of the suffering in Egypt. And of course, today we recall these plagues as we endure one. So we will add an 11th plague, the coronavirus. And as we do, we will pray with all of our hearts and souls and might that the suffering from this current plague will diminish and will end. And then we will recall other plagues that vulnerable and voiceless people continue to have to endure. Because even in our seclusion, And even as we fear what surrounds us with coronavirus, we have to remember that there are others who are far less fortunate than we are. And we have to double down on our work so that they can realize the justice and dignity and equality that they deserve. So the cantors will sing the plagues and then add coronavirus as the 11th. And as they do, take some of the wine out of your cups for each of the plagues.
Dam Tzfardea Kinim Arom Dever Shechim Barad Arbe Choshech Makad Bechorot Karona.
And I just want to reference, we're not going to read them, but among the plagues that the world currently endures are the 65 million refugees around the world, the largest number of homeless, stateless, defenseless people in modern history. And so in this Haggadah, and you're welcome we'll be happy to supply a copy of it to you, we've included some examples of these refugees from the American Jewish World Service and from HIAS. And we reflect now on their lives, and as Americans, we must pray for them and also encourage our government to do all that it can to relieve their suffering.
Just would stop. Darkness settled, the light of the day.
Here we go. Good. So we have experienced in the Seder the depths of this story, the darkness of the plagues, the fear of them, something we can relate to. But then we move, as our tradition teaches us, we move from degradation to praise. And we do that because, of course, the story ends with our redemption. And we do that because we're a hopeful and optimistic people. And because no matter the plight that we endure, we believe that there will be a better day. And so Dayenu means it would have been enough. And so we thank God with this song, which is in the upper left-hand corner. We thank God for redeeming us from Egypt, for the gift of Shabbat, for the gift of Torah and our tradition that has sustained us through all the highs and lows, all the moments of exaltation and the moments of tragedy in our people's history, knowing that we have not only survived, but thrived, and that even though it's challenging, Dayenu, we're able to celebrate Passover in this virtual way. So please join with our cantors. And now it's time for another game.
Yes? Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Silly way to begin. So we're going to play the game 10 questions. We played the game 4 questions before and you got them all right. I'm very impressed, even though there were some new answers. So this game of 10 questions is we're going to ask you a question. There's going to be some multiple choice answers and you get a chance to pick an answer and you get a point if you get it right. Someone should keep score and the one with the most points will get a prize from whomever is there to give you prizes. How many minutes should the whole process of making matzah take, from kneading the dough to baking the matzah? 18 minutes, 18 hours, 24 minutes, 24 hours. And the answer is 18 minutes. How many matzahs are placed on the Seder table? Ready? 1, 3, 18. Are you ready? The answer is 3. Okay. Passover question number 3. What is the phrase that signifies that the meal is ready to be served? Let's eat. That's the answer in my house. Shulchan Aruch, Lashana Haba Barushalayim, Shalom. How did you like my pronunciation of all those?
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
Getting better and better.
Authentic.
Shulchan Aruch, Okay, next one, question number 4. What's the name of the symbol for the bricks and mortar used by the Jewish slaves in Egypt? A, chumetz, karpas, haggadah, mortar. I'm going to choose haggadah. No. Go ahead. And the answer is mortar. Okay, question number 5. What's the name of the song about a baby goat? Just so you know, this is Rabbi White's best favorite, mostest song. Am I right?
Yes, and I even tried to sing it on key, but you know.
That's good. I would try to sing it on key, but that never happened. So it's Dayenu, Chagad Yah, Oblida, Oblada. Is that Hebrew? Lachadodei. And the answer is Chagad Yah. Okay, we're going to sing that, I think, later. What does the word Seder mean? It means feast, dinner, story, order. And the answer is order. Number 7, who is Moses's brother? Rabbi White, you appear a lot here. Abraham, Aaron, Isaac. And the answer is Aaron. Number 8, how long did the Jews wander in the desert? 40 days, 40 months, 40 years. And the answer is 40 years. Pretty good.
Sad to say there was no GPS back then. Otherwise, who knows? Perhaps
True.
Google Maps might have helped, but unfortunately.
Where is the Seder supposed to take place? Anyone? Maybe in the desert, in the synagogue, outdoors, in the home. It does not have to take place. In the home, it's one of the few, if only, holidays that is commanded, am I right, to take place in the home?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm happy I was right. Who's credited with the recipe for charoset? Ali Shulman, Moses, Cantor Sergei Schwartz, Hillel, V&Z Caterers, Miriam. Yes, it is Hillel. Okay, add up all of your correct answers, and I hope you have great prizes to give to the winner. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue again in our Haggadah on page 38. Bechol dor vador. We say together, Bechol dor vador ke ayavim anu lirot et atmenu keilu yatzanu mimitzrayim. In every generation, it is our duty to consider ourselves as if we had come forth from Egypt. By saying this, we place ourselves back into the narrative of the Exodus. We reclaim this collective memory as our own, and we personalize it. In doing so, we remember that we too were once strangers and thus must strive to protect the stranger. We remember that we are a people of relentless hope and persistence, and that we must continue to have hope and persistence. We remember, we tell the story, and we pass it on to the next generations. And now I encourage you to join with our cantors for Hallel on page 39.
Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai. Hallelujah, 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 et Shem Adonai. Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'Adonai. Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'Adonai.
And now it's time for our second cup of wine. So we'll raise our wine or grape juice together and join with the cantors as they lead us in the bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
L'chaim again.
Chaim. So as Rabbi White mentioned, we wash our hands twice during the Seder, and now we are up to Rachza, which is the ritual hand washing before we engage in our festive meal. So I encourage you to take a moment and wash your hands, either with your sink nearby or a pitcher of water that you have on your table. And we say together the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy with your commandments and commands us regarding the washing of the hands. So now we will transition to the beginning elements of our Shulchan Orech, the moments where we will take part in our festive meal. So we will take a piece of matzah and we will make two blessings. We'll make two blessings, one over motzi and one over matzah. So we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who brings forth bread from the ground. And we say together the blessing over matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu al achilat matzah. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and commands us to eat the matzah. And now you can follow in Rabbi White's footsteps, take a bite of your matzah. You can lean back. We have started to begin our festival meal. And we will continue now with maror on page 45. Maror is the symbol on our Seder plate of the bitterness of the tears of slavery that we had, the harsh labor that we experienced as slaves, and we will reenact our own bitterness in the consumption of maror. So we will take a tiny bite of maror, whether you have horseradish near you or another bitter herb, and we'll say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and commands us to eat maror. So we will take a tiny bite of maror and just savor for one moment that experience of bitterness that our ancestors had to experience as their daily existence, as a prelude to our redemptive meal that we're about to have. So on page 45, the last ritual food that we eat before our Shulchan Orech, our festive meal, is korech. A long time ago, there was a great rabbi named Hillel. He thought being kind was the most important thing, even more important than studying. He once said, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to others. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." And tonight, we join with him in his Passover tradition of making a sandwich out of matzah, a piece of the sacrificial lamb, and a bitter herb. Since we don't have a sacrificial lamb on our table, we make the sandwich with matzah, charoset, and a bitter herb, or some people actually just make their sandwich with matzah and maror. So we will say the ritual words that we say while we eat this. In memory of the temple, according to Hillel, This is what Hillel would do when the temple existed. He would wrap the matzah and the maror and eat them together in order to fulfill what is stated. You should eat it upon matzot and marorim. The bitter herbs remind us of the bitterness of slavery in Egypt and of our sad memories. The matzah and charoset remind us of the fact that we are free and of our sweet memories. We are not supposed to forget either one, and believe it or not, the sandwich is actually pretty tasty. So give it a try and take a bite of your sandwich now. And with that, we begin the festive meal, the Shulchan Orech. It is customary during this time for members of the table to engage in a hunt for the Afikomen. We recognize that we might not all be physically in the same space right now. So for your Afikomen hunt pleasure, we have provided an Afikomen hunt in the spirit of the Where's Waldo cartoon on your screen. This will be up for the entirety of the festive meal. And we hope that you can find the Afikomen either in your own home or on the screen and enjoy your meal. B'tei Avon, everyone. I encourage everybody to pause this recording, have your festive meal, and when you come back, see if you can find the Afikomen on the screen. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a delicious festive meal. The next thing we are going to do in our Seder is we are going to eat the Afikomen. The Afikomen should be the last thing we eat at the Seder. This part of the Haggadah, this part of the Seder ritual is called Safun, which means hidden. When we eat this last piece of matzah, we are supposed to be reconnecting with the parts of ourselves that we felt that we had to hide when we were slaves. Just as the Afikomen was hidden from us all this time, so are the parts of ourselves sometimes hidden for us. And in going through this journey from oppression to redemption, we hope that we have liberated all of the parts of ourselves. The cantors will lead us in a brief Birkat Hamazon now, and I encourage everybody to sing along with them.
חבריי נברך.
יהי שם אדוני מבורך מעתה ועד עולם.
יהי שם אדוני מבורך מעתה ועד עולם. ברשות חבריי נברך אלוקינו שחל בשלום.
ברוך אלוהינו שחל בשלום ובטובו היינו.
ברוך וברוך שמו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אזן את העולם כולו בטובו, בחן בחסד וברחמים רחמים, הוא נותן לחם לכל בשר, כי לעולם חסדו וכתובו הגדול, תמיד לא חסר לנו ואל יחסר לנו, מזון לעולם ועד, בעבור שמו הגדול. כי הוא אלזן ומפרנס לכל, ומיטיב לכל ומכין מזון לכל בריאותיו אשר ברא. ברוך אתה אדוני, חזר את הכל. ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני,
Amen. Berachama Yerushalayim. Amen. Ose shalom bidroma, Ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen. Adonai Yoseh amo yitem. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Thank you so much. And now we will continue with the third cup, which is on page 52. And I invite you to raise your glass and join with the cantors as they lead us in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
So now we are going to pour a glass of wine and open up our door for a prophet named Elijah. The prophet Elijah ascended to heaven while still alive, so the rabbis saw him as a unique figure who was able to travel freely between heaven and earth. We consider Elijah to be God's messenger, which means that God will tell Elijah when redemption is coming. And when Elijah comes to our door, we will know that we have succeeded in really achieving this process of from oppression to redemption. We pray that that happens tonight for all of us. And we will now invite you to pour your glass of wine for Elijah, open the door, and join with the cantors as they sing Eliyahu Hanavi.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Hanavi.
We also take this moment to remember Miriam, the prophetess, and we also raise a cup for her as well. Each Passover, we like to think of Miriam's cup as a way to not only honor the women from our past, but women who have made important contributions to society as well. And so we will now fill up our glass for Miriam and place Miriam's cup on our table. In just a moment, we will play another game with Howard, our host. So right now, take it away, Howard.
Thank you for that introduction. I am all set, although I did disappear for a while. We're going to play a game called Sinai Feud, which is just like Family Feud, only different. Here we go. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, so how to play. You could go through these. And stop. Go back. Go back. Can't go back. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. We have asked these questions of 1,000 Jews celebrating Passover. Yep, 1,000. Each group decided on one response. It should be the same response that you would imagine 1,000 Jews to have picked. So I'm going to tell you what the survey says. That's the survey of 1,000 Jews. If your group has the number 1 answer, you get 5 points. A number 2 answer, you get 4 points. 3 points for number 3 answer, and 2 points for number 4. The team will, with the highest score, wins, but instead, we're going to do it person by person. So whichever person has the highest score, they win. Just so you know. Oh, that's good. Just so you know, that's the signal to start. Ready, Terry? Have to be quick. Okay, don't turn anything. What's your favorite Passover food?
None.
Da, 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 da. The survey
Charosed.
Okay.
I like prune macaroons.
Oh, that's interesting that you chose that.
Chocolate matzah.
Chocolate covered matzah.
Is there a way of muting Rabbi White after that? Okay, and the answer
Any in my own
is-
family would like to know the answer to that question, but
Okay, keep clicking. The number 1 answer is charoset. You get 5 points. The number 2 of matzah brai. You would get 4 points. Stop. The number 3 is chocolate covered matzah. And the number 4 is soup. Margie makes a great soup. Next question. What's your favorite thing to eat when Passover ends? Da, da, da. What do you like?
Does whiskey count?
Whiskey counts. Okay.
Pizza.
Pizza. Yeah, not bad. Lulu?
A bagel.
I like that
Long
too.
Islander.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. And the number 1 answer from the survey is pizza.
Yes.
Pasta. Number 3, a bagel. Hey, not bad. Rice. Well, you never know.
Well,
Okay,
Sephardic.
next one.
Sephardim, it's not that such.
What's your favorite part of the Seder?
Mine's cheesy, but it's sitting around the table with my family.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
We actually asked your family, and they didn't say sitting around with you. No.
I like Chad
Anyone
Gadya.
else?
Chad Gadya is my favorite.
Yeah.
4 questions. The 4 questions.
Okay.
How about Shulchan Aruch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take
The meal.
Hanoreh. Yeah.
Here it comes.
Singing. Okay. We'll go singing. Wine. I'm surprised no wine here. Rabbi Schachter. I'm surprised. Hillel sandwich. And welcoming Elijah and the 4 questions. I bet you all thought there were going to be funny answers. We really carried the survey out with 1,000 people, 1,000 Jews. Actually, it's only 2 Jews because 2 Jews would have 1,000 answers. Name one of the 10 plagues. What's the number 1 plague that people would name? Anyone?
Slaying of the firstborn.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Frogs.
Okay.
How about frogs?
Frogs.
Blood.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
The survey says frogs. Number 2, boils. Number 3, blood. Darkness. No slaying. I wondered about that. Okay, next one. How many days into Passover before you get tired of matzah?
1.
I think so. Anyone else have a number besides 1?
3.
Okay, go ahead. What does the survey say? 5 days. Oh, that's okay. Never. We eat matzah all year long.
Oh my God.
3.
Okay.
Okay.
Rian.
Where's the first place you look for the Afikomen? Anyone?
Couch cushions.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Whenever we did the second night Seder, everyone always looked under the chair where the rabbi was sitting.
Yeah, leave there. Yep.
Yeah.
That's-
And I think it was always there. for some reason. Go ahead, let's see. Couch cushions,
Yeah.
tablecloth, leader's chair, and drawers. I think
Make them.
I think it's, it's the drawers that you pull in and you keep stuff in, not the other kind of drawers. Which of the 4 children are you must like? Wise, wicked, simple, too young to answer?
Too young to answer.
Too young to answer.
I would like to be too young to answer. Can I
Yeah,
just
I wish.
make that aspirational?
Yes. Okay. Survey says wise. Number 1 is wise, simple, and wicked, too young. So wise and simple are the top 2. Name one thing on the Seder plate.
Karpas.
Pizza.
Shankbone.
Pizza. That's interesting. The survey says shank bone, the egg, pizza, parsley.
Yay!
Okay, next one, and then we'll call it a day. I think that's the last one anyway. Oh no, skip this one. What's your favorite song? Dayenu, go to the next one.
Nope.
Okay, how do you like your matzo balls? This is always, whenever you go into, I don't know about your Seders, don't you go in and you argue about grandmas and your aunt or whatever? Lulu, what's your
We're
favorite?
in between.
Firm? What?
We're in between family. They're a little
you're
fluffy, a
in
little soft, a
between.
little hard. It's nice. Great matzo ball.
Oh, okay. Anyone like fluffy?
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah.
have?
Medium well.
Medium well.
I like them hard as a rock, hard and heavy. It's the bread of affliction.
In my,
That's
best,
right.
in my best friend's house, they call them floaters or sinkers.
I like sinkers. I'm a
Oh,
sinker.
that's good. Floaters and sinkers. So the survey says firm and then fluffy. Okay, and that's it. Everyone, a wonderful, wonderful Passover. And may next year we will be in Jerusalem.
Thank you, Howard. So now it's time for another psalm of praise. We are going to sing with our cantors.
So we'll sing a traditional Hodu. Hodu Adonai, Ilo, Ileona, Ileona Kastor.
And now it's time for our 4th cup of wine. Please join with me and the cantors as we sing Kiddush one more time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. I am last night.
Please join with me on page 58. We've reached the end, but it isn't over yet. Wait, what? Some believe that even though we will all leave the table and go to sleep soon, our Seder is never really done. Every day we should think of ourselves as leaving Egypt. We need to keep on fighting for freedom for others. We need to keep on thinking about the ways that we can feel free. We need to keep on trying to feel connected to each other, our families, our communities, and with God. And to do this, we need to make, hold, and share our memories, person to person, generation to generation. Memories bind us to each other and the past, and give us the wisdom and the strength to embrace what's ahead. It's customary for the last words we recite at this table to be next year in Jerusalem. And that's not necessarily because that's where our Seder will be next year, though it could be. We might also be thinking about the idea of Jerusalem. The name Jerusalem means the city of peace and wholeness. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a time and place where everything felt peaceful and whole? Our tradition tells us that the Hebrew word Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, ends with the plural im because there are two Jerusalems. There is the ideal, a city of peace and wholeness that we are supposed to build, and there is the real Jerusalem, a beautiful city of gold that is also a hard and complicated place. That's true of our lives too. There's what we want, what we're working toward, and then there's the reality of our day-to-day, which can be more challenging than we'd like. Our job is to see ourselves in both places, and as we do, to try to bring them a little bit closer together. So whether or not we think next year will bring us to Israel, next year in Jerusalem is a declaration of hope. Hope that the Jewish people's ancient and ongoing story will lead to happy and holy places in the next year and beyond. And now we say together, Lishana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. And we join with the cantors as we sing this line together.
Lishana Haba Yerushalayim, 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 Hallelujah.
And now there are a couple of songs we hope you'll stick around for that we sing together to end the Seder. This is my favorite. And this is a song, it's really a metaphor. All of the different items on it reflect all of the different ways that our people have been persecuted, but also all of the ways that we have been saved. It includes a little of both. And we make fun of it, not to make fun of it, but to remind ourselves that we can diminish the pain that we feel. So if you'll join with the cantors and me in singing this song, One Little Goat, Chad Gad Yah, the custom is that as we get further into it, we try to sing it as fast as we can. And we're going to do it in English. So please join. Ready, cantors?
Yeah, always ready.
Okay.
Chad Gad Yah, everyone. Chad Gad Yah, Rabbi.
one little goat, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the cat that ate the goat, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the dog and bit the cat that ate the goat, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the goat, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the fire that bit the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the goat, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. God, yeah. Okay, everybody, take a breath. Then came the water that quenched the fire, then bit the stick that beat the dog, that bit the cat that ate the goat. My father bought for 2 zuzim. God, yeah. Then came the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that beat the stick, that bit the dog, bit the cat that ate the goat. My father bought for 2 zuzim. God, yeah. God, yeah. Then came the slaughter that slaughtered the axe, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that bit the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the goat. Father bought for 2 zuzim. God, yeah. Then came the angel of death that killed the slaughter that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that burnt that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the goat. My father bought for 2 zuzim. God, yeah. God. I defy anyone to beat me in this last verse. Then came the Holy One, blessed be he, that slew the angel of death, that killed the slaughter that slaughtered the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burnt the stick, that beat the dog. God. I did not cheat. God, yeah. God, yeah.
That was fun!
You came first to the finish.
So, I believe there. Do you want to do one more song, Cantors?
Yeah, at least some few
A
verses
flavor.
from there. Flavor
Yeah.
from
Okay.
Echad Miyadeh, traditional Hebrew version. Echad Miyadeh, who knows one?
So we have the Hebrew on here, Lulu. Is that on the... Yes. What do we have?
Yes, we have.
Okay, good.
So we'll start with the verse 1, and then we'll see how much we can cover. So starts with a question. Echad miyodea, we answer. Echad oni yodea. Echad Eloheinu, 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 Eloheinu. Sheba shamayim uba'aretz. Shnai mi yodea, Shnai ani yodea, Shem Elokot Abrit, Echad Eloheinu, 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 Sheba shamayim uba'aretz. We'll go to 3. Shlosha mi yodea, Shlosha ani yodea. Shlosha avot shenelokot abrit, echad Eloheinu, 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 sheba shamayim uba'aretz. Cannot skip 4. Cannot skip 4. Arba ani yodea, Arba ani yodea. Arba imaot shlosha avot shenelokot abrit, echad Eloheinu, 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 sheba shamayim uba'aretz. Let's skip to Shmona. Shmona ani yodea, Shmona ani yodea. Shmona yemei mela, shifta yemei shabta, shisha sidrei mishna, hamishei chamshei Torah, arba imaot shlosha avot shenelokot abrit, echad Eloheinu, 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 sheba shamayim uba'aretz. 10, very important. Asara ani yodea, Asara ani yodea. עשרה דיבריה, תשעה ירחי לידה, שמונה ימי מילה, שבעה ימי שבתא, שישה סדרי מצווה, חמישה חומשי תורה, 4 אמהות, 3 אבות, 2 לוחות הברית, אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ. And we'll go to the last one. 13 אני יודע, 13 אני יודע, 13 מידיה, 12 שבטיה, 11 חוכמיה, 10 דבריה, 9 לידה, 8 ימי מילה, 7 ימי שבתא, 6 סדרי מצווה, 5 חומשי תורה, 4 אמהות, 3 אבות, 2 לוחות הברית, אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ.
All right.
You should have done it on one breath, the last one, but I cheated.
No, you were good. You were good. You were good. You were good. All right, everyone. Well, we wish you a wonderful, wonderful Chag. We hope that you'll join us Thursday night live, Thursday night at 6:30 for the second night Seder that we will all collectively lead live with you. All you'll have to do, you'll get an invitation in the email, and also it'll be on our website, mysinai.org, and you just click on the Zoom link, and you'll be able to join us. And we wish you a wonderful festival of liberation and joy. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Night. Chag Sameach.